Yes, my Straight Talk family. Whenever you hear that theme song, you know that it is time for me to say greetings to the entire world. And it is time for me to say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis and the entire Caribbean region. And to those of you in the diaspora all around the globe, the Kittitian division and Caribbean diaspora all over the globe, we say greetings and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. And I know that some of you are in Africa. There are some of you in Asia. There are some of you in Europe. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I am at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And we welcome all you first-timers, because there are some faithful ones who continue to share that link. And whenever you do, we get first-timers. And we welcome the first-timers and trust and hope it would not be your last time. And to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national, regional, and or international interests, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. And my Straight Talk family, as your host, I always hasten to add that nothing on this program is watered down. Nothing. On this program, we try to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. And my name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And I really look forward to communicating with you, my Straight Talk family. And I do apologize for our disconnection last time around, last Thursday to be exact. Circumstances entirely beyond my control. We had this technical glitch And I thank all of you who called, extended your sound words of advice and support. And I believe I missed you more than you missed me. But I'm happy to be back with you, and I welcome you once again. And I do remind you, in particular, I should say, let me inform those first-timers that Straight Talk is a public service program, as I said, that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national, regional, and international interests. But we are also a participative program as well. And by that I mean we, at some stage, include your calls, include your emails, and if you're so minded, call in. The numbers are on your screens. If you like the cloak of anonymity, I call it, you have or you get access as well via our email platform, and that address is on your screens likewise. And Straight Talk is also heard live on Alexa. And for those who have that app, you know, just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. Thank the hosts for providing us access via Alexa at a nominal cost. And we say thank you. Thank you again for your support and for helping us to dialogue. And there's some who still ask about the possibility of supporting that program. And for those who want to indulge, just scan that code on your screens. Very simple process, and you will complete that in under a minute, I assure you, and highly confidential. And yes, we want to say a special welcome to our Straight Talk Junior Brigade. There's no Straight Talk unless I hail my Junior Brigade, young Dwayne, Tristan, Jasmine, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Travis, Travon, Jamal. My grandson Neymar is under the weather. His good friend Saraya, Elizabeth, and how could I ever forget that special lady in St. Louis? And on this program, we do present as well our observations in review, which is the time when we highlight the current issues. We do some reflection. We ask some questions as well. For example, what was accomplished, how it helped others, what changed since, and what we have learned as a people. Because yes, it's a learning process. And after our observations in review, we will begin our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Governance and Diplomacy by Yacht, or Governance by Law. And it's a program that, in fact, I prepared, and it's a program I wanted you to hear. So I just decided I will go with that program that I published last week, Thursday, as well. And our first observation relates to a call I got after my program last week, Monday to be exact, when we presented that thesis titled, Not in the Back of the Bus, but a sure bet you won't drive it either. And Straight Talk stands by the opinion advance that Mark and Sharon Mama Brantley would never get onto the bus, as they both like luxury yachts and driving luxury vehicles. Mark a BMW and Sharon Mama Brantley a Mercedes. But Straight Talk must, however, advance this correction To wit, Sharon Mama Brantley actually drives a Range Rover Evoque and not a Mercedes as intimated. Straight Talk therefore apologizes for that bit of misinformation. Mama Brantley does not drive a Mercedes. In fact, she drives a Range Rover Evoque, or Evoque, I think they're called. And our second observation, I got a call as well from someone who commutes daily via that Old Road Bay portion of the road network. And I was chastised for not emphasizing what the works meant to those commuters who travel to and from that side of the island literally every day of the week, come sun or rain. And lots of rain is falling at present. So this individual wanted me to highlight and implored me never to stop highlighting the resilience that we built across Old Road Bay. That means so much to so many whose lives were constantly at risk from soil slippage and rockfall under a Labour administration for over 20 years. And it was under Team Unity we decided that this would never happen again. My Straight Talk family. Recall this happened in 2017, I think it was. I stand to be corrected.
In 2017, there were two hurricanes, Irma and Maria. And during the process of the passing of these storms, the Old Road Bay was severed. You couldn't pass from Old Road to the other communities to take you into Bastille. And the government mandated Public Works Department to come up with a design, come up with a new build so that this occurrence wouldn't happen again. In addition to that, the design should be such that the rocks from the hillside shouldn't affect the commuters and the pedestrians. Public Works Department engaged the services of ADEB consultants firm out of Jamaica, an engineering firm, and this firm was already on the ground working with us with the Timothy Hill and the Southeast Peninsula Road. We looked at a number of options for the new road. One, we looked at going over the hill. Two, we looked at going seawards in terms of a bridge. And thirdly, we looked at rock revetment. We had consultation and discussions with the stakeholders, the people from the area, from other government departments. Then we came up with the most feasible design, a design which could stand the test of time with low maintenance. And that one was the rock revetment, which is now under construction.
And that was then my Straight Talk family. And that's the work we did. And I posit the view that Old Road Bay and that project we undertook, just completed around 2019, I think it was, is one of the legacy capital projects for which Team Unity will always be remembered. Another one we can think about off the top of my head is that second cruise pier. And our third observation, my Straight Talk family, relates to elections in Barbados come Wednesday, the 11th day of February 2026. The campaign is in high gear down there in Barbados, but not without controversy. Concerns about the electoral lists and raised by the opposition, DLP, has caused Prime Minister Mia Mottley to invite independent observers from CARICOM and the Commonwealth for the very first time ever in Barbados.
We spend our time trying to protect the reputation of this nation. And we go to great ends to protect the reputation of Barbados and Barbadians. And I am not going to, under any circumstances, agree that it should be sullied. And therefore, this morning, I took a decision. I spoke to the Secretary General of CARICOM, and I spoke to the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, and I will do what Barbados has never had to do before, because both political parties exercised a level of sober maturity in the conduct of elections prior to this moment. But I am not going to allow anybody to put this country's reputation at risk. And I've therefore asked both of them, they know it is a late request. I've now signed the letters to them. I've copied the letters to the President, His Excellency, Most Honorable Lieutenant Colonel Bostic. I've copied it to the Chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission so that he may share with all members. And may I remind you, Mr. Thorne has 2 members on the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And I found it unusual that one of them would choose to speak outside of the remit of the chair, because in the past, it was always the chair who spoke on behalf of the commission. When Mr. Philip Thoreau, latest Sir Philip Thoreau, was chair of the commission, he spoke. Go back and check your records. When Mr. John Haynes from St. John was chair, he spoke, and not other members of the commission. And when now, the former Chief Justice, the current Chief Justice was chair before, he spoke. I find it curious that these persons are now speaking as if there is not a single commission required to be able to operate. I'm not going to even go in about the delays taken by Mr. Thorne in the reappointment of that commission, because that's a story for another day and another time.
And my Straight Dog family, 2 more days, and Barbadians will decide which political party they want to lead them. There is, however, general consensus that Mia Mottley and her Barbados Labour Party will return to office.
Barbados gets ready to vote in general elections this week following a short election campaign. It was the final weekend of campaigning throughout the country. We have more in this report.
In the final days of the campaign, Barbados's main opposition is hammering home the issue of transparency and accountability in government, suggesting that after 2 terms, the Mia Mottley administration has been bending too many rules.
The Mottley-led government has treated transparency as a great inconvenience.
These are claims that the incumbent has denied, as they paint a challenger not ready to lead at a crucial time.
Wednesday, February 11th, will determine the future of this country. Not just because it is an election here, but because we live in a world that is so different. War is raging in almost every region in the world.
Mottley has hailed her government's record of delivery, while insisting that the mission of transformation is not yet completed.
We have had 18 straight quarters of economic growth. That is why I can stand on this platform and increase your reverse tax credit, increase your welfare benefits, give you a cost of living cash grant, increase your tax allowances as a pensioner. That is why I can stand on this platform and tell you that even though we have bought 121 electric buses, we will be buying another 35 before the end of this year. And I ask you, let us continue the work so that our country can go, grow.
Opposition leader Ralph Thorne on Saturday called for the full enforcement of integrity in public life legislation and publicly declared his own assets, while challenging the government to do the same. Thorne insisted that transparency and accountability must be restored to public life, arguing that Barbadians had a right to know how their tax dollars were being spent and by whom. The opposition has also sought to paint Mottley as a leader who has taken her eyes off local affairs while seeking to make an impact abroad.
While others focus on being world leaders, our focus is on serving people. It is why I can stand behind the motto, Barbados first. Leadership in changing times is not measured by international acclaim. glowing profiles, or choreographed routines. It is measured by domestic outcomes. We do not elect a prime minister for the world. We elect a prime minister chosen by their constituents. We elect a prime minister of Barbados who puts Barbadians first.
The opposition Democratic Labour Party only released its manifesto on Saturday, with mere days to go before Barbadians vote. Political scientist Dr. George Bell said he believes the party's decision leaves voters with too little time to properly assess its plans. The late release could also shape negative public perceptions about the party's proposals, he suggested. But regional pollster Peter Wickham argued that late manifesto launches are not unusual within Barbados's political system, particularly for opposition parties. He rejected claims that such timing automatically signals a lack of preparedness. Among the DLP proposals are the reduction of VAT by at least 2.5%, the removal of the garbage and sewage tax, the introduction of a bus transfer system, and the expansion of the zero-rated basket to include healthier food items. Additional measures point to stabilization of healthcare, open governance, and increased police visibility.
My Straight Talk family. So, 2 more days. 2 more days. And we will know who will lead or continue to lead Barbados. And our fourth observation, we go down to St. Lucia and Prime Minister Philip Peer, who seemed to have misspoken about U.S. pressure regarding medical student scholarships from Cuba.
First of all, we have to assess where we are in terms of scholarships for
medical students.
That's the first thing you have to do. Secondly, we have to look to other countries. There's Mexico, there are countries that have, and the students, those are in Cuba, will continue to be in Cuba. They'll continue to be in Cuba.
So they'll continue to study?
Yes, they will. There's no imminent withdrawal from students. No, they'll continue to study. Yeah, life goes on. But under the circumstances, understanding that life will be what it is. You understand? Which is you in a state that America has said is a threat to its security. That's reality. St. Lucia has no issue with American government policy. We can't control American government policy. The people of America voted for that policy. That's what they voted. They voted for that policy. So what we have to do is we have to make alternative arrangements for ourselves when these things happen. But we cannot fight with America for its policy. We may not agree with it, but we can't fight with it. That's American government policy. So we have to work with it and work around it. Basically, the whole issue of the Cuban embargo, which is something which, as you know, last week, President Trump declared Cuba a threat to American security. So we just being proactive.
Just being proactive, states Prime Minister Philip Peer of St. Lucia. However, in a U.S. Embassy media advisory, it was clear that no discussion was held with St. Lucia about international education of their students, as this media advisory was circulated from the United States Embassy in Barbados, which reads, and I quote, "The United States has not recently talked to St. Lucia about international education and respects countries' sovereign decisions regarding the education of their students or their citizens, beg your pardon. The United States continues to to call for an end to exploitation and forced labor in the illegitimate Cuba or Cuban regime or regime's overseas medical missions program. I straight talk family. And that's obviously debunked the quote-unquote proactivity and the statement made by Philippe Pierre. And our fifth and our final observation for tonight, my straight talk family, is something about Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, that always seemed to attract the attention of many. Always forthright and straightforward in his appearances before the Senate committees. And most recently, Rubio was asked about regime change in Cuba, and his response was this one.
Your comments that Havana should be concerned about the Maduro operation is fueling speculation that this administration will turn its sights to Cuba next. Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change. We would like to, that doesn't mean that we're going to make it change, but we would love to see it change. There's no doubt about the fact that it would be of great benefit to the United States if Cuba was no longer governed by an autocratic regime.
But you know what we mean by regime change. We don't mean, I wish someone else were in charge. When we talk about regime change, we're talking about using the power of the United States, usually kinetic power, but often other kinds of coercion. And I'm not even saying that that's always not in our interest. I'm just saying, I'm not asking you whether we would prefer a different kind of government. I'm asking whether you are trying to precipitate the fall of the current regime.
Yeah, but that's statutory. The Helms-Burton Act, the U.S. embargo on Cuba is codified. It was codified in law, and it requires regime change in order for us to lift the embargo.
Very interesting, my straight talk family. Helms-Burton Act is codified in order for the U.S. to lift the embargo. Rubio contends there must be regime change. But those are our observations in review for tonight. And we move right into our thesis, which I have titled, as intimated earlier, Governance and Diplomacy by Yacht, or Governance by Law. And my fellow citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, we stand today at a defining moment in our national history. And what confronts us is not merely a development proposal, not merely a piece of legislation, and certainly not merely an investment opportunity. What confronts us is a style of governance, one that appears increasingly detached from the people it claims to serve, and alarmingly comfortable conducting the nation's business behind closed doors, aboard luxury super yachts, far from public scrutiny. And this is not diplomacy in the national interest. This is luxury yacht diplomacy. And it threatens the democratic soul of Nevis and by extension the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The facts and concerns we cannot overlook. For nearly 7 years, Mark Brantley served as Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Federation, promoting what he described back then as expanding the diplomatic footprint of St. Kitts and Nevis. During that same period, he also assumed the office of Premier of Nevis, simultaneously performing the role of head of the NIA, the Nevis Island administration that is, while functioning as the federal government's chief diplomatic gatekeeper. And that concentration of power, Premier of Nevis, Minister of Foreign Affairs, political head at home and global representative abroad, demanded the highest levels of transparency, accountability, and results, which the Federation was never afforded. And ordinary Kititians and Nevisians are growing increasingly frustrated by the absence of meaningful economic transformation. Against this backdrop comes the proposal for the so-called sustainable economic zones, and more controversially, the Destiny Project in Nevis, a proposal that many citizens believe would create an island in an island, governed by rules and privileges alien to our constitutional and social order. A situation one scholar engaged by Olivier Janssens, the developer and investor, called an island within a country. Dr. Andreas Bogmaster did in fact say this, my straight dog family, Bogadner, I should say. Dr. Andreas, let me get that right, Dr. Andreas Martino said this. I got that all mixed up.
Special economic zones, as defined by the United Nations, are geographically delimited areas within which governments facilitate industrial activity through fiscal and regulatory incentives and infrastructure support. If you look at this definition, there are three core elements. And if you only take one thing from this lecture, it's those three elements. It's a geographically delimited zone. You could speak of it as an island within the country. It has got its own set of rules and regulations. And why does it have that? To serve the purposes of a specific economic objectives. That's what we're talking about. A zone set up to achieve business objectives.
Yes, a zone set up to achieve business objectives, according to Dr. Andreas Baumgartner. I got it right now. But what makes this matter even more troubling, though, is not only the scale of the project, but how it appears to have been conceived. Credible information suggests that the Destiny concept was hatched not in cabinet. It was hatched in Parliament, not through public consultation, but aboard a luxury yacht in Monaco, involving a wealthy investor and the Premier himself, my straight dog family. It was hatched on board this yacht in Monaco. That same luxury super yacht has since reappeared in Charlestown and has now become a symbol of a decision-making process that feels exclusive, elitist, and profoundly disconnected from the people of Nevis. We were told that Destiny is linked to the CBI by the Straight Dog family, and this was confirmed by Olivier Janssens.
Is the project a CBI project? We're still discussing with the government, of course, but yes, the idea is that people that buy a unit can also get a passport with that, so it also increases the CBI income, because the CBI income has been drying up substantially. It's also a big concern for the island, so it can definitely help rejuvenate the whole passport program.
Yes, Olivier Janssens confirmed it would be a CBI project. Yet no clear public explanation has been given by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Terence Michael Drew, and or the Premier of Nevis, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley. Citizens recall the prison project, where 5,500 shares were approved amid allegations of a major scam by Sherlock family. And that allegation came from none other than our disgraced Attorney General, Garth Lucifer Wilkin. You can read for yourself what a big scam he wrote by Sherlock family in his WhatsApp message, my street family. What still a good scam is what he wrote. That is what the disgraced Attorney General of St. Kitts Nevis, Garth Lucifer Wilkin, wrote. However, the Destiny Project proposes 10,000 shares, my straight dog family. So if the former was troubling, if 5,500 shares were troubling, what does that make 10,000 shares, we ask? And at 4 persons per application, that's 40,000 people will descend upon our country over the next 2 or 3 years. Olivier Janssen said that he did not want this going into the new year. He did not want this going into the new year, was his view.
Rumors that we already have a contract signed is completely false. So we're still negotiating with the government. We are in advanced negotiations, so we made it pretty far, but that might still take, I don't know how long, a couple of weeks, or hopefully sooner. I definitely don't want to have this go past New Year if we can, but we'll see where we end up.
Well, you see where we end up, he said. He did not want it to go past or into the new year. But lo and behold, the Premier of Nevis stated just recently that his cabinet supported the project and forwarded it to the Prime Minister on the 23rd of December 2025 for approval, certainly long before the new year, as demanded by Olivier Janssen.
Destiny proposal, I can report that the Nevis Island Administration, after exhaustive town halls and stakeholder engagements and feedback and exhaustive engagement with the proposers for Destiny, that we would have sent our approval for this particular project to the attention of the Prime Minister on the 23rd of December 2025. That's the date that I'm advised it was sent. The proposal has gone through, the agreement has gone through various iterations. The agreement, of course, is not yet signed, but we have signaled to the Prime Minister that we are comfortable with what has been proposed, and that was done on the 23rd of December. As we know the process, it now shifts to Bastille for them to look at it, but we are expecting that that will be dealt with in short order, largely because this is a Nevis project. This is not a federal project. It is not a St. Kitts-based project. It's a Nevis project. And the Nevis Island Administration has determined that this project will advance the development of the island of Nevis. And we stand behind the project because we think it's a good project for Nevis.
Brinksmanship, no doubt, my straight dog family. But the Prime Minister, exercising his constitutional responsibility, established a committee to review the legislation. He referred to it as the ad hoc committee.
The other matter we'll talk to is about the SSZ, the sustainability zone. I want to say that 2 meetings already have been had with the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
The ad hoc committee, of course, is an extensive committee that I think is about 15, but if I mention some of them, we have the St. Kitts Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Trades and Labor Union, Bankers and Financial Services, Caribbean Confederation of Credit Union, Eastern Caribbean. Well, these are going to report. They're going to be a part of the committee in terms of giving us their feedback. We have Organization of Rastafari Unity, where it was extended. The St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association. We also have the Bar Association. That is a fundamental part of it. We have the St. Christopher Trust. That is actually a part of this as well. And so we have all these organizations that are coming together to advise. So they've already looked at the SSD law, and what I've said to them, never before has this happened in St. Kitts. We see major developments, but nothing has ever come to a committee and then go to Parliament. We are shifting that. Why am I shifting that? Because there had been the major developments in St. Kitts and Nevis where that had not happened. Whether they were good or bad is not the discussion. It is that our people should have a direct say. And so you can look at the past and learn and seek to strengthen it. And so what the SSD has nothing to do with Destiny. Destiny is a project that is being proposed that has not reached the committee as yet. That is being proposed. SSD is a law that says any major project to be proposed in St. Kitts and Nevis must come through a process and must go to Parliament. I mean, you can't get more transparent than that. For example, the prison project. The prison project, which resulted in thousands of citizenships, maybe up 20-something thousand.
And my Straight Talk family, instead of welcoming scrutiny, this has generated friction, political tension, not just between leaders, not just between Terence Michael Drew and Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, but within the entire federation. And all the while, the people are demanding one simple thing: transparency. Who benefits? Who bears the risk? What sovereignty is being traded away? And why does this all seem to happen behind closed doors or on yachts rather than in the open light of democratic accountability? And that is why I come before you tonight, not to inflame fear, but to defend principle, not to oppose progress, but to protect process, not to attack personalities, but to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law. Let's just be clear. No government has a mandate to fundamentally alter the economic, legal, or territorial character of St. Kitts and Nevis without the informed consent of its people. Elections confer authority, but not unchecked power. The Constitution limits authority, and the people legitimize it. But what we are witnessing is not diplomacy in the national interest. It is diplomacy conducted in exclusive spaces, insulated from public accountability, and dismissive of legitimate civic concern. What we now have on our hands is a looming political crisis. And Mark Brantley returned to his rich handlers to review what has been reported as his luxury yacht diplomacy. And Mark Brantley went to see his handlers on this luxury yacht, my Straight Talk family. Caught red-handed, boarding the tender. Mark Brantley himself, as I said earlier, is a former Minister of Foreign Affairs for 97 years in the Team Unity administration. Along the way, from all reports, Brantley met the good, the bad, and the ugly. Brantley, I also said, simultaneously played the role of political head of government in Nevis, and as Minister of Foreign Affairs, he was like the Postmaster General of the federal government of St. Kitts and Nevis. What I mean, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is of the official channel of communication between countries. We hear of diplomatic notes and so on. Mark Brantley is also a lawyer and boasted publicly, my Straight Talk family, that he attended the University of the West Indies, UWI, and was number one in his cohort. And according to him, he raised that matter to say to St. Kitts and Nevis that nobody can fool him, nobody can outsmart him, is what he said.
When I graduated law school at the Norman Manley Law School in 1994, Mark Brantley from Henley Park and Brownhill was number one in the Caribbean at Norman Manley Law School. And I went to Jamaica in 1994 and I graduated number one in class. I got a certificate of merit. It was only the fourth time in the history of the Norman Manley Law School that a certificate of merit had been awarded. You know why I'm saying that? I am saying that because nobody could outsmart me.
Nobody could outsmart me, Mark Brantley contends. And under his tenure as Premier, Nevis has not done well economically. And with the New World Order, the little island that he leads is struggling to reduce the high cost of living, cope with the dwindling CBI receipts, resulting in a disgruntled people and his inability to transform the economy of Nevis. In all, Mark Brantley is doing, the people are demanding one thing: transparency. But the Premier seems hell-bent to proceed with the project, and last met on board the luxury yacht in Charlestown. He boarded this ugly luxury yacht, super yacht, in Charlestown, my Shrewsbury family. The people are not happy with this luxury yacht diplomacy, exclusive to the Premier and the investor, and have promised to do everything to stop the implementation of this destiny project on Nevis. The people will not yield to this luxury yacht diplomacy from Brussels to Charlestown. My people, St. Kitts and Nevis, my people, St. Kitts and Nevis stand at the crossroads, not of convenience, not of haste, but of principle. The question before us is simple, but its consequences are profound. Its consequences are serious, my Straight Dog family. And we ask Mark Brantley and his cabinet of 5, will Nevis be governed by law, by the Constitution, and by the will of its people? Or will it be governed by private deals, unchecked power, and decisions made far from public view? This is not a theoretical debate. It has a name. It is called the Destiny Project, and we must begin with the facts. The Destiny Project proposes the introduction of 10,000 new people through the Citizenship by Investment Program, the absorption of 2,400 acres of land on the south coast of Nevis, a development so large it would permanently alter the demographic, economic, and environmental character of Nevis. Nevis is not a continent. Nevis is a small island with limited land, fragile ecosystems, and a population whose voice must never be drowned out by scale or foreign capital. To invite 10,000 new citizens through a financial program, not organic growth without the clear, informed consent of the people, is not development. It is demographic suicide. And what deepens public alarm is not only the size of the project, but its structure proposed: own security apparatus, control of 70% of water and electricity, own dispute resolution mechanisms. To many legal scholars, civic leaders, and ordinary citizens, this response, or this resembles not integration, but separation. When the private development seeks its own security, utilities, and courts in all but name, it raises a fundamental constitutional question. Are we creating an island within an island? Nevis is governed by laws passed by Parliament. Security is a matter of national sovereignty. Justice flows from our courts under our Constitution. No development, no matter how wealthy its backers, can be allowed to replicate the functions of the state without undermining the state itself. The Premier has publicly stated that his cabinet supports the Destiny Project and that this position was signaled to the Prime Minister as early as 23rd December. And I made mention of that before, my straight talk family. That is his right. But what is not his right is to demand automatic approval. The Prime Minister has established a committee to review the Sustainable Special Zones legislation. Terrence Michael Jew then went to Dubai, and it is reliably rumored that he will celebrate, my straight talk family, his second wedding anniversary in Fiji with his wife from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You understand? He's celebrating perhaps today, I believe, or tomorrow. Is this what Mark Brantley is calling hypocrisy or obstruction? Hell no, my straight talk family. Hell no. But what we are demanding is constitutional governance. In a federation, no one office holder is entitled to act as a rubber stamp. Review is not rebellion. Scrutiny is not hostility. It is the rule of law at work. Yet we now see frustration, anger, and political pressure as though oversight itself was an insult. And that attitude should concern every citizen in St. Kitts and Nevis. Meanwhile, on the ground in Nevis, real people are affected, and the overwhelming majority of divisions have made their position clear. This project should not proceed in its current form, if at all. And they are not anti-investment. They are not anti-development. They are pro-Nevis. They are asking reasonable questions. What happens to land ownership? What happens to water security? What happens to sovereignty? What happens to divisions when private systems replace public ones? And these questions have not been answered. Leadership is not about insularity. Leadership requires patience, restraint, and respect for institutions. While one leader insists on urgency and demands compliance, another has chosen consultation, even while attending international engagements abroad. The contrast is instructive. Governance is not about personal convenience or political pride. It is about protecting the long-term interests of the people, even when that means slowing down, reviewing, and saying not yet or not like this. And my straight dog family, in conclusion, I decided to leave the best for last, or rather to leave the most important consideration of my thesis tonight for my conclusion: governance by law. And when I say governance by law, what I mean is St. Kitts and Nevis must be run through laws rather than the arbitrary will of investors like Oliver Johnson and his political puppet Mark Anthony Graham Brantley. In plain language, power must be exercised according to established legal rules and not the personal preferences of any one group. Mark Brantley, as Premier Talks Tough, appears to hold the power, but the power is actually controlled by the investor he went to see or went to visit on the luxury yacht. He boarded a tender at the Four Seasons Pier and went to visit his boss on the luxury or super yacht that was anchored at Pinnis Beach, my straight dog family. That yacht was anchored at Pinnis Beach, and Mark Brantley boarded that yacht or Four Seasons. Because I left this for last. Because just on Friday last, the 6th of February to be exact, my Straight Talk family, the Financial Times of London, a highly respected British daily newspaper and global news organization, best known for its financial, business, and economic reporting. Founded in 1888, the Financial Times has grown from a London-focused financial paper into a major international media brand with a large global readership and influential analysis of markets, politics, and economic policy. This article appeared in the Financial Times on the weekend, and the headlines read, my Straight Talk family, Bitcoin investors company helped draft law to enable libertarian Caribbean development. And my Straight Talk family, Straight Talk confirmed. Straight Talk confirmed that Dr. Dawn Dikoto, my Straight Talk family, her post on LinkedIn, as it can glean from the right of your screens, where she reads, she states, I am extremely proud to serve as the Commonwealth Lawyer for Destiny, the first sustainability economic zone in the Caribbean, on the beautiful island of Nevis. And her full LinkedIn post is also on your monitors, my Straight Talk family. Very clear for you to see. And we always provide you, like you know, with the evidence. But the final caller on the mark last Wednesday caught the attention of Straight Talk. And that final caller asks this question, my Straight Talk family, to the host, Mark Brantley.
Let me ask something. The document that you sent to the Prime Minister on the 23rd.
Yes.
Before he refused to sign it, where did that leave you?
Well, according to the law, the SSD legislation, there's a process, and he is part of that process. So if he were to refuse to sign, then I think the project will not be able to move forward in its current form. And it's as simple as that. It does require some involvement by the federal government, because in order to give the zone that is proposed legal efficacy, it would need the sign-off at the federal level, just as it would need a sign-off at the local level. So it is a very important matter. It is a matter that I have engaged with the Honorable Prime Minister on, and he has been concerned about a few matters. I think those concerns have been responded to positively, to tell him, well, these matters are not matters that he ought to be concerned about, because they have been addressed fully. We in Nevis have gone through an exhaustive process, and we feel that we have an agreement that is workable and that we can now move forward with. But that would be the position. So it is now a matter for the federal government to, well, the Prime Minister, to give his position. This project is a project on Nevis, and so we have said that clearly the views of the Nevis Island Administration, which is charged with the development of the island of Nevis, would have to be given precedence, and that is our position in relation to the matter.
Hello. Straight Talk vehemently disagrees with Mark Brantley, because the Constitution and laws of the Federation must be given precedent over his views and that of his cabinet. And this is what we mean when we say governance by law. My Straight Talk family, Sharon Mama Brantley, the wife of Premier Mark Brantley, has acted as the go-between Olivier Janssen and the landowners over 2 or 3 years, my Straight Talk family. And under pressure, Mark had to release this.
Developer is a company, as I believe it's called South Nevis Limited, and that company is working with my wife. So she's acting as a go-between between her client, who's the developer, and landowners, and asking if they're minded to sell their land.
And Sharon Mark Brantley therefore helped to negotiate purchase agreements on the land for which deposits were paid to most owners, and some deposits have been placed in escrow. What is escrow, I hear you ask? Escrow is simply mean handled by a third party. Could be an attorney, a title company. That is not on either side of the deal. Their job is to hold the money safely and only release it when everyone has agreed that the conditions are met. And how it works, and I won't take you step by step, but in a nutshell, a buyer pays a deposit into an escrow account. And if the deal goes through, the deposit is released, usually credited toward the purchase price. Now, some deposits, we understand, have been paid in full, with conditions to settle the balance in 12, 18, and or 24 months in some instances, with the agreement that if Olivia Janssen, the buyer, does not pay the balance for the land, it is forfeited, meaning the seller keeps the deposit and its land because of the violation. Now, no seller would issue a certificate of title or sign an MOT, a memorandum of transfer, and pay the stamp duty to the Inland Revenue Department before receiving their money, and the documents will be lodged in the court. Under our existing laws, final approval from planning or planning permission will not be granted if the said requirements are not satisfied. So when Mark Brantley tells us that heavy equipment owners are being held up with their backhoes, their trucks, etc., Mark Brantley is either lying or intends to break the law. And this fish stinks my people, and it stinks from the head. And let's say planning permission is granted in principle. Legally, planning permission is just a green light and not a right of way. Olivia Janssen will still need ownership or explicit landowner consent. Without that, construction cannot lawfully begin. No rational landowner allows construction on his or her land without payment or security. So planning permission alone gives Olivia Janssen no right at all to build. Olivia Janssen has not paid the owners for their land. Will he pay Mark Brantley? Mark Brantley contends that Nevis has a right to develop, and he is right, but not to the detriment of St. Kitts, we may say. Not to the detriment of St. Kitts.
When in St. Kitts, the whole of Crystal Harbour went. And I never seen a placard and I never seen a protest. Right? That is the concern that I have, that there's a level of hypocrisy, I'm going to call it what it is. And there's a feeling in some quarters, and I will say it because it is true, that Nevis must stay to the back of the bus. But not while Mark Brantley is the Premier of Nevis. Not while I'm here. Because I don't belong in the back of no bus, and nobody in Nevis belongs in the back of the bus. We're equal citizens in this country, imbued with equal rights, like every other citizen, and the island must have the right to develop.
My Stray Dog family, so we ask, what is the obligation of the government? Not to repeal. So what liability is the people of St. Kitts and Nevis exposed to? And Mark Brantley told us this, my Stray Dog family.
If we were to repeal it 2 months after this agreement were passed into law and the zone came into effect, they may not have spent very much in terms of capex, right? Capital expenditure.
they may not have spent very much in terms of anything else. And so we're really only talking about the cost of the land at that point. If, however, we repeal it, when, of course, you have a fully developed, then clearly you can see that the cost would be exponentially greater, because everybody has to understand what it is we're doing, what the implications may be going forward.
And my Straight Talk family, we don't know the level of exposure. And who is the government being referred to? It cannot be the NIA, as the Special Zone Authorization Act is a federal law. So Mark Brantley is exposing you and I to billions of dollars if that act in its current form is not amended. We have to stop Mark Brantley now. Let him go and invoke the 113 clause if he is so strong, mighty, and powerful. And I commend the visions and petitions for their defiant stand for Nevis. This is not a rejection of progress. It is a rejection of recklessness. This is not fear of the future. It is defense of our inheritance. Nevis is not empty land waiting to be claimed. Nevis is home. Nevis is history. Nevis is governed by law. And I join you as a division born in St. Kitts as we reject any attempt to reshape our island without our consent. We reject any development that places private authority above public law. We reject governance by pressure, secrecy, or by yacht. And we affirm this clearly and without apology. Nevis will be governed by its people through its constitution under the rule of law or not at all. And this is about who decides the future of Nevis. Will it be decided by a handful of powerful individuals meeting in luxury super yachts, far removed from the daily struggles of ordinary citizens? And if this luxury yacht diplomacy continues, the people of Nevis have made it clear they will resist it with every democratic tool available to them. From Brussels to Charlestown, from Monaco to Nevis, let this message ring loud and clear. The future of Nevis belongs to its people, not to luxury super yacht owners, not to billionaires, and not to backroom deals. And in closing, my Straight Dog family, I heard a pastor who called in to a political program and only offered a prayer for our Prime Minister and our Premier. And this pastor said this.
Pastor Eric Maynard speaking.
Oh, my friend, how are you doing? Thanks for calling in.
I'm doing fine.
Yes.
The Lord has laid it on my heart to say a prayer for you and the Prime Minister, even though I don't know him. This is a command given to us in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. And I'd like to read that. It says, I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and the giving of thanks be made for all men. And I like the part where it says intercession and the giving of thanks. For kings and for all those that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. Verse 3, for this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and to come to a knowledge of the truth. Before I say the prayer that I want to pray for you and the Prime Minister and all the other leaders of the Caribbean, because I realize, and we prayed for that in church, prayed for all the Caribbean leaders, and particularly you and the Prime Minister, because I see some trends in the Caribbean that are very troubling, where everybody seems to be an authority and they know exactly what the leaders are supposed to do. And I think that leaders are supposed to lead.
My Straight Talk family, having listened to this comment, and I only played an excerpt, I was perplexed. And I prayed about it. And the Lord instructed me to respond. Because when a pastor prays only for the prime minister and the premier, while ignoring those in opposition or opposition parties, that is not biblical faithfulness. It is selective piety. And piety is faith lived with integrity. When it is selective or strategic, it is not piety anymore. It is theater, a pastor playing for the CCM gallery, and that perhaps is his right. But scripture is unambiguous. I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. And this I read from the New International Version, NIV, which tells me that Paul does not grant pastors permission to narrow all down to only the leaders they prefer, or only those currently in power. Not at all, it does not. In fact, my research informed me that Paul wrote these words under a regime hostile to Christians. His command was not about blessing incumbents, but about refusing to let the church become captive to power. To pray only for two leaders, the prime minister and the premier, and not their opponents, is to confuse the kingdom of God with the kingdom of this world. Jesus warned that you cannot serve God and power. That's found in Matthew 6, verse 24. James warned strongly against favoritism in the assembly. James 2, verse 1. The prophets repeatedly rebuked religious leaders who flattered kings while neglecting justice and truth. A pastor who prays only upward to those who hold office, but not outward to those who challenge, question, or oppose, has turned prayer into a political signal rather than an act of intercession. That is not shepherding the whole flock. It is aligning the church with one side of Caesar's court. Biblical prayer should never be partisan because God is not partisan. The church's calling is to stand before God on behalf of all, including leaders we agree with, leaders we don't agree with, and leaders we hope will change. Anything less is not courage, it's convenience. Praying only for the premier and the prime minister is tantamount to praying for the sitting government on Nevis and the sitting government on St. Kitts and Nevis. It's like taking a quiet slide into partisanship. Praying for all sides, including the opposition, would have signaled trust in God over politics. The goal Paul gave us is bigger than politics. He says that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. The prayer, therefore, is not about who wins. It's about conditions that allow peace, justice, and freedom to live faithfully. And that requires everyone involved in governance to act wisely. Consistent prayer for government and the opposition models impartiality, love of neighbor, trust in God's sovereignty. And my straight talk family, we therefore say no to governance and diplomacy by yacht, and yes to governance by law. And that's my story tonight, my straight dog family. Forgive me, I had to tarry a little longer, but I am not going to change it. I will open the lines right now and entertain your calls and your emails. But before I do, momentarily, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, my Straight Talk family, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and or saying those things, let us, my Straight Talk family, strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, my Straight Talk family, at 15 past the 9 o'clock hour, we go straight to the lines and take this our first caller. Caller, you are live. A very pleasant night to you.
Good night, Mr. Liebert. Welcome back.
Good night, my dear. Good to be back.
Corruption is the enemy of development.
Yep.
And of good governance.
And of good governance.
It must get rid of.
Must get rid of. Must.
Both the government and the people at large. must come together to achieve this national objective.
Must come together to achieve this national objective.
Yes. I repeat, corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. It must get rid of. Both the government and the people at large must come together to achieve this national objective. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, my Straight Talk family, from across the Narrows in Nevis, who always provide us every program, I should say, of Straight Talk with our thought-provoking quotation, and this one no different. Corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. It must be gotten rid of. Both the government and the people at large must come together to achieve it, or to achieve this national objective. I think I have that right. Repeat that. Corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. It must be gotten rid of. Both the government and the people at large must come together to achieve this national objective. Yes, my Straight Talk family, the lines are open. We heard our first caller, I dare say our usual caller, who brings us the quotations, and very thought-provoking quotations as well. And if you have just joined me, we presented our thesis, which I titled Governance and Diplomacy by Yacht, or Governance by Law. And my Straight Talk family, we've seen what's going on across the Narrows in Nevis. We've seen a premier, beg your pardon, beholden to his masters. We've seen a premier caught heading to meet his handlers on a super yacht over there in Nevis. Straight Talk didn't check to find out whether that super yacht had sailed. But Mark Brantley headed to meet his handlers on that super yacht. And we are saying, my Straight Talk family, that the future of Nevis belongs to its people and not to luxury yacht owners, not to billionaires, and not to backroom deals. We are saying, my people, that this is not about opposing investment. This is not about resisting development. And this is not, certainly not, about personal animosity. This is about Nevis and how it will be governed by its people through its constitution and under the rule of law, or not at all. And let's go back to the lines. Okay, we missed that caller. Or not at all, we said, my straight dog family. Nevis is home. Nevis is history. Nevis is governed by law. And I said this is not about fear of the future. It is defense of our inheritance. Nevis is not empty land waiting to be claimed. And I commend divisions and petitions alike for the defiant stand for Nevis. And this is not a rejection of progress. It is a rejection of recklessness, my straight dog family. And no matter what the Premier would say to us, we have a say as petitions, because we are exposed.
If we were to repeal it 2 months after this agreement were passed into law and the zone came into effect, they may not have spent very much in terms of capex, right? Capital expenditure. They may not have spent very much in terms of anything else. And so we're really only talking about the cost of the land at that point. If, however, we repeal it, when, of course, you have a fully developed, then clearly you can see that the cost will be exponentially greater, because everybody has to understand what it is we're doing, what the implications may be going forward.
Let's go back to the lines at 9:22. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patrick, good night.
Good night, sir.
First, I all want to thanks for politics. I all want to be good. Not too bad, not too bad. First, I all want to give God thanks for life. Thanks for the Federation of St. Nevis. And thanks for people like me and you and others coming on and speaking out against the ills and the wrong things that are going on in this country. Because, Patrick, this is our country. And if we see things, we're supposed to brave and bold enough. Don't care whatever party you support, political party you support. We're supposed to be able to bold enough to speak out against what's going on, especially if what's going on troubling you. And do not go complain to nobody. Because you got different radio talk shows and you can call in and say what you got to say. That is. And a lot of people just walk in complaining. And I tell them, listen, if you all can spread your words on the radio or send your message out while got on the radio, listen to Straight Talk, Ian Patty's Lawyer Bird. Monday and Thursday, 8 o'clock. That is when Patty's program does come on. Because they say that they don't understand now, certain talks stop keep on the radio. You still got talks coming on and there is a call the edge. It won't come on anymore now, don't hear it coming on. With the next radio station, them kind of came, you know, so like everybody afraid the administration we're in. But Patrick, I can speak about the ills and the wrong things I see going on in my country. Because this is our country and we got to defend our country. Patrick, I observe what's going on in this country and I'm aware of what's going on. And I see that election coming up soon, Patrick. And it looked to me like they want to call a snap election. My friend overseas does post a lot of things to me, and I see it, and I post songs and so to me, and I see it. And I hope the people of this country are aware of what's going on. Every minute this Prime Minister out the country, and bringing back nothing at all to the country, Patrick. Bringing nothing back to the country. Every minute the Parliament passing all kind of law. All kind of rules, and all the rules are passing against the ordinary man in this country. Patches, it's time the country people put the blind politics aside and done with this party politics. It ain't working for us. That's why you see other countries suffer because of that. Because they support the party, they don't care about the country. As long as the party in government, look at what they do, they support what the party do. And the children, grandchildren suffering. Patches, I feel like the thing, I feel like the government now, they say they don't have no money, but they hire a lot of young people, putting a lot of young people on different programs. If you don't tongue at the time. You see a lot of those young men and young girls dressed up in a car in yard clothes. Right? Patches, me against that young man and woman get work. But if they say they ain't got no money, when the unity was in, Timothy give young people money, Timothy this, Timothy that, and Timothy that, and Timothy the other, everything at Timothy. Right? And what is what happening now? The program that they call Elevate program is the program to give them money. Timothy used to guide the Unity and Timothy used to guide the peace program because everybody knows what was going on in the country. But the Elevate program not just to give them money. Just to sit down and give money. Sit down and give them money. Drink rum, buy rum shop, smoke weed and give them money. That's what the Elevate program is all about now. About Elevate. And that only happening because election coming up and they want to beat the young people then. That is, you have a wonderful year, and if I get back and people be aware of going on, especially those in the diaspora. I think you have a wonderful year, and God bless you. If I get anything else, I come back.
Thank you very much for your outspoken if that's the right word. And I agree with you. We have to be brave and bold to speak out. All we have is our voice, and we must speak out. I believe you. That election is nigh, and it is time we get prepared. Terrence Michael Drew and his team will deliver nothing. So they won't gamble another 2 years or year and months because they will deliver nothing, absolutely nothing. If anyone doubted, read this email, that the Premier's alignment with the Labour Party government will shift from his unwavering and firm stand on the question of secession, well, they would better think again. 2 weeks ago on his On the Mark show, the Premier did not mince his words of abuse to criticians, more pointedly to Dwyer, Sam, and others, whom he claim are haters of Nevis and are speaking out against his desperate destiny plans. However, he had to resort to his usual lies when he stated that not one of them have uttered a word of criticism against the Constitution, works taking place at the Fort Thomas Hotel. Well, Mr. Premier, be honest for once, man, for you fully well know that Dwyer and many other interested groups in St. Kitts have been very outspoken in the objection and caustic criticism of the Indian work taking place there at the Fort Thomas Hotel. Don't think you can fool and mislead criticians the way you relish lying and misleading some divisions. Reads this email. It's 8/9/29, beg your pardon. We go right back to the lines and say good night to this caller. Caller, you are live.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra, Mr. Straight Talk. How are you, my brother?
Yes, my brother from another mother. I am peaceful. What about yourself?
Brother from another mother. Yes, you have to be peaceful. Mr. Straight Talk, let me just say hello to my friends, them around the E-Globe. Good evening to my brother, good evening to my nephew George Reed, and good evening to my wonderful niece the Abigail, and my lovely niece there in St. Louis, and my whole lovely Texas Queen. How are you? Mr. Straight Talk, I don't know what's going on in St. Kitts now. You hear what Mr. Day is saying? that the Prime Minister push up who he don't want to push up. Back when COVID was Pastor there, what's his name? Pastor Hayes Canna was the one who keep running the country with every Sunday after Sunday. And as soon as Pastor Canna step up to the plate to say that these people wasn't receiving the money, you know, somebody take Pastor Canna off and said, I said, Pastor Canna don't come back and said, I said.
Yeah?
Yes, you know how long Pastor Canna no come back and said, I said. Because of he had that interview with that guy. No more Antioch come back and said, I said from since that.
Okay.
You ever hear Pastor Canna come back and Mr. Stratak, I want to check out this thing for me now. Last week in ZIZ new announcement, there was a announcement talking about you cannot buy plastic fork, plastic spoon, plastic cup, and plastic this. And if they catch anybody selling it, they're going to have to pay $3,000. Did the government pass a law to say that you got to stop sell this thing as somebody just take this on their own?
No, they passed a law banning plastic and making life so tough for the vendors. I mean, the quality and cost of the replacement is something else, you know. Yes,
but Mr. Stratak, so when they ban that, what we are going to use?
Well, that's the replacement bags and containers and cups are so inferior. I mean, if you put the good water in a cup, I mean, it actually seeps through the cup.
You know
and they're so expensive.
That not to cut you off, but the mayor who was in power did that up here, and they're giving you paper bags. Mr. Stratak, me carry some bread at the church. Rain come down, meet me out there. You know what happened to me in the paper bag is a blessing. I was close to the church. The paper bag started tearing from me. I said, how these people could think like this and left the small man out? Paper bag with bread out there on the street and rain come. What happened? But I was right there at the church. I just pull up the thing good and just enter in the church. I said, that's why me don't buy no bag from nobody because of what the government do. So what you use for plastic spoon and plastic fork in St. Kitts if you're having a party?
Well, I don't even know the quality of the replacements. I don't know what is made of. I'll have to get that so I don't misguide you.
Because I am planning to have me a thing there, and I got to get this thing right. I mean, I have so many plastic cups and things ready for do this thing, and you're going to tell me, well, I can't bring them to St. Kitts. I hear that. But what the alternative that you have to use for fork and spoon? We got wood spoon or something like that, a wood fork, what they bring for you to use since they do that?
As I said, I don't know the name of the replacement, but I can investigate that for you. I don't want to misspeak.
Can you do so for me, sir? Because that's my job. That's what I'm going to give you that job. Because
people are still using plastic. I don't think you can import them, but it can't stop you from using your plastic in your party, so you don't need to worry about that once you have it, you know.
I'm afraid that if I have to bring them in the country,
they may not allow you to import them. That's what I'm saying. They may not allow you to import them. You know.
Okay.
But because they're banned, you know.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I got you. I really want to get that straightened out, so it don't make no sense for me to send them. It's just gonna have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm going to have to start looking for paper cups then.
Yes.
but I ain't seen no paper spoon. So what we gonna do? What we gonna eat this thing with? Anyway, Mr. Stratak, I thank you so much for what. And we got to do what we got to do. St. Kitts have to stand up and put Mark Grantley in the back of the bus.
Yes.
He know where I'm go. But you see, that's what happened to Douglas now. Douglas put St. Kitts in the back of the bus and he stepped out. And now he wanted to do the same thing like what St. Kitts did. And if people had stand up to Douglas, we would not anything that we in with that hotel. So now we see the light, we tell him no. He don't want to go to the back of the bus, but somebody else is going to go. Mr. Chitak, I think I said enough for tonight. Thank you so much but I wanted to investigate what we're going to have to do. So do your job for me. Thank you so much, and I'll get back to you.
Always a pleasure, my dear brother. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
Yes, yes.
See you when I see you. See you soon.
Yes, my dear brother. It's now 9:35, and for those who may have joined me for the first time, Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. And this email reads, Mr. Attorney General, the justice meeting you and Isaiah Clarke attended recently in Geneva on human rights was just a sham. You lied to them trying to paint a good picture of the Federation's human rights record. Attorney General, did you tell them that you have breached the human rights of the family of the late Akida Wellington, the Jamaican who was murdered in Sandy Point by one government Labour Party supporter? Did you report to them that you intervened and stopped the police from carrying out their usual investigation, citing that it was a case of self-defense? Where you got that autocratic power from, Mr. Attorney General, to act simultaneously as police investigator, a judge and jury and executioner? You fully well know that you were wrong. Despite you were a failed Crown Counsel in the criminal court, at least you must have known that only a court has the inalienable right to determine the right of self-defense. Mr. Attorney General, you have boasted in the past that you do not afraid anybody, for you are Lucifer, and you sleep well at nights. I want to remind you of these words sung by the late Brooke Benton. You are on top now, and you are having a ball. You've got the world on a string. You think you've got everything. Ha ha, but you've got nothing at all. Because one day you'll wake up on the other side of the hill. Oh, if Mother Nature don't stop you, Father Time will. AG, remember you have children. Akina's blood is crying out for justice, and you will certainly be haunted for the rest of your life for the numerous injustices you have orchestrated on the citizens. Your bullshitted press release you issued on your return from Geneva was nothing more than a smokescreen. Father Time will tell. I don't know, or don't recall when I heard about Brooke Benton. That good jogging of the memory there, and those lyrics from Brooke Benton. Mr. DJ Murray Shaw reads this email. I was introduced to your program by a friend several months ago. I must tell you quite frankly that it's one of the greatest political shows I have come to enjoy weekly. I realize you do not have a component of your program where listeners can call in and express their sentiments along with a reading of emails as administration. And this is the reason why I choose Straight Talk, another dynamic program to have this interchange with you. As a civil servant, I have to be circumspect if I'm to publicly converse with you, because you know how spiteful and victimizing this Labour administration can be. Nevertheless, someday I will certainly meet with you. Before I depart, I must tell you that like I voted for this administration simply because they were preaching good governance, having access to government information, setting up the Public Accounts Committee, a triple salary at Christmas, increase of the PAP from 500 to 1,500, etc., etc. And it sounds good, DJ, so I voted for them. But never again. it is the greatest regret I have in hindsight. And I agree with you, DJ. They are all worse than Harris. In every aspect of governance, they certainly will have to go. Reads this email. And this other email reads, recently I read a post from a blogger under pseudonym Selena Love St. Kitts, where the entire police force was severely criticized and labeled as dunce from commissioner to last recruit. I will not venture to agree wholeheartedly with that blogger, but my observation of the police organization is that the discipline it once boasted of has gone a-begging. Some of these officers have no respect for themselves, much more for the public. They are accountable too. The police force are governed by their own standing order rules, similarly to the National Assembly rules that you ever so often hear the Speaker chiding parliamentarians when they are in breach. Saluting of public officials seem non-existent among the ranks now. According to a section of the rules, police officers dressed in uniform are entitled to salute all government ministers, all elected members of the National Assembly, the Governor General, the Speaker, and the Leader of the Opposition. When out of uniform and passing any of the aforementioned officials, police officers must come to attention if walking, and passing by any of these officials, paying their compliments and deference. I have observed this serious breach of respect in the force, and it must be urgently restored. So, Selena Love St. Kitts, if that was the dunce you are making reference of them, then I concur. Reads this other email. I'm trying to get my emails under control. Good night, Patches. Reads this email. Does Nevis belong to billionaires, or does it belong to the descendants of the people who were enslaved here? How many homes do Kittitians and Nevisians have to choose from? How many citizenships? Why are we giving away the only thing we have, as if we have other options? We need to buy back every inch of land sold to foreigners, and we need to safeguard the future by making laws to ensure this is never attempted again. We need protection from foreigners, and we need protection from the ministers of government, or we stand to lose home and liberty. Reads this email. The SSC Act needs to be repealed, not amended, not tightened, not strengthened. Do they take us for fools? Also, do the two committees created have members that are in contact with or under the influence from anyone associated with the Destiny Project or CBI program? There are apparently two committees, one the SSZ Act and two the Destiny Project. These things need to be transparent as possible. In my opinion, recorded live for the actual citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to hear and judge for ourselves. I no longer trust anyone with our future. Reads this email. Let's go back to the lines and say to this caller, caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Patrick Megan, politics again. Patrick, people supposed to be aware our going on when you elect a government. Patrick, you elect a government for 5 years or so for 5 years. Right? You elect a candidate in your constituency to serve you. And he served you for 5 years. And if that candidate do the things in your constituency where you're supposed to, where you need, you know, you please the people, you please the masses in your constituency. When election time comes, I believe that that candidate is supposed to vote out. But Patrick, let me tell you something. Government going in the past all kind of law and pass all kind of rule in parliament. And against the ordinary man and woman. Patrick, that law when the government passed under Dr. Simmons. Remember Dr. Simmons Either 2 years or 3 years for pension, as long as you serve, I think either three term or 2 term in government, you get a pension. Well, when Dr. Douglas went in 1995, I think he changed it. He started home. Right?
I don't think it was changed politics. I don't think it was changed. It wasn't changed. I was just
it didn't change?
No, it wasn't changed, no.
Okay, so it's still the 2 term there then?
Yes, it is.
2 term or 3 term?
2 terms, I think, yes.
Yeah, but he's saying this to say that, right? A man working for government, working in the hotel, and he worked for 5 years. I worked for 8 years, right? Making him 10 years now. They put the man on retirement because he got a year to make 10 years because they don't want to maybe redundant him. And that's a lot of things happening in the government right now. They retire a people just wait 62 years. Some of them got a year, some of them got a year to make a year to make the 10 years. Some of them got 2 years. Some of them got a year and a half to make 62 and they retire them. They ain't get nothing, just got stipend. That is bad.
Okay.
I believe that you work with a company and working for government or whatsoever, and you work in this country, whether you work 8 years or 5 years, 6 years, but you to get a gratuity.
Okay.
You to get something. What do you think about that?
I am in concurrence with you. I'm in concurrence. I agree with you, I should say. You know?
Because you solve the country, just they solve the country too.
There's not a time period. But thank you for your input, Mr. Politics.
Okay then, Patrick. You want to get out there.
Okay, thanks a lot for your input. I believe in relation to the parliamentary pension ministers, it's 2 terms, and there's a period also attached to that. I think it's 7 or 8 years. I'll have to get that information for you. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Patches, can you hear me?
Yes, you're live, sir.
How are you, Patches? Patches?
Yes, you're live.
Yeah, I just call because I see certain things going on with politics, especially in Nevis, because I've been watching the premier post in Facebook and what's not. And I see certain things he's saying about properties in Nevis abandoned and what they think, like asking the people what they think he should do with these property and reach out, wherever the case is. But they say they left properties there to rot and stuff. But he watching other people's property, but he got property there rotting, property what he buy and stuff. And I still on this SST thing because all of this is gonna be a thing. I realize a lot of things passing and a lot of things be saying on social media surrounding the SST topic smartly. But people ain't watching what really going on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff with land specifically going on and is around and they're like, I wonder if these people really to go and capture land to sell these people. I don't even know the motive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's it for this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. And yes, we know of the sea spawn and this other club and property that the Premier himself, we are told, has bought and just saying there and rotting. He said, Bacala, I want to thank you for holding you alive. It's 11 before the 10 o'clock hour.
Thank you. Good night, Patches. Good night to all the listeners.
Good night, sir.
I've been listening quite keenly to all the other callers that has done their contribution. But my saying is this: in spite, and we all know what is said that Mark has done pertaining to this meeting on this yacht, which was not official, and in such a public figure, it is bothering, it is worrying. And I am wondering if the Prime Minister will condone to that and don't even does a recommendation to Mark. Because we all know it's something to do with the SSZ zone project, the Destiny project, so to speak. And the way he's operating, contrary to the Prime Minister, I believe there are some conflicting where Mark is leading this role, contrary to the Nevisions and the Kittitians. So how does that, and what do you think probably might be going into the Prime Minister's mind? Because, first of all, this is a threat to national security. What Mr. Brantley is doing, that can jeopardize the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, not just Nevis. If he thinks he's operating on the Nevis grounds, the federal government has the security jurisdiction over the Federation. So where do we have a balance and where does it make sense? We need to know what the Prime Minister thinks of that meeting, because ears are not deaf. I'm here in the diaspora and I'm hearing it and I believe it. There are proof. And he done this in secrecy, in plain sight. But probably he think no one would have recognized. I need to know what the Prime Minister think, because this is a breach of national security. But anyway, I will say to the Nevisions, the ball is on your court. You have the power, not the Premier. Do the right thing. Say no to this SSD zone and let that man take his yacht and take it where it should be, but not in St. Kitts and Nevis waters. Thank you for allowing me, and God bless St. Kitts and Nevis. Bye for now.
God bless you as well, and we thank you for your contribution, and we go straight back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
That is good night.
Hello, Mr. Jamdown. Good night to you, my brother.
How are you, man?
I am peaceful.
A lot of things happening around us here.
Yes, so many things.
Me never sit watch you. Go on no luxurious yacht in the meeting. And the boys are barefaced and bad. Here they walk down Charlestown Pier with the security, you know. She never camouflage to Four Seasons. Like here while the Nevis people and team, he going on a luxurious yacht. Gangster business! Gangster business! No pattern! I went to Newtown yesterday. I was looking at some jail where two elders used to keep clean in Newtown. There by the old footballer Sharks, go right down, and one used to go to the project from Sharks. And what you seeing is like they just send home these people, and not even got the audacity to give them a little change. They just dismiss them. One of them told me he had almost 7 years. Another one must be 8 or 10 years. I mean, you don't treat elders like that. Even though they was attached to the pet. At least you could have use the government chump up something and give them. Just don't send them home just like that. But it's because these people don't support the red. But I could tell them, you know, when we get the rid of them, they will get something. Because decent people will look into it. Because they solve this country. I mean, you're just picking up people, giving them work, saying giving them work, and the people them is not working. And next thing again, in very morning when I walk to the town, couple people meet me and asking me if I think it's right for Jeffrey to charging them for some little house, apartment house. $800. This guy is crazy. That's why I have to make sure that Dr. Timothy Harris go back in the rightful place. He's the only man who take this country out of this mess here. Where this worthless boy Joe put this country in. And I'm telling you, Patches, and I want to tell all them people who was around the talk yesterday that a unity government, PLP government will drop the price to just where these people in Wellington is paying. That is how we gonna work in them. Johnny won't go do it because he will do it along with Patches Raymond. They will do it because Patches must be in any setup in any government coming. He performed. We know he could do it. He shows he could do it. I will endeavor live to see sidewall go right up the factory up to the airport. And afternoon time when they go in up Valley and see people jogging their way up. You're gonna fear the bus and knock you down in the car, no boy. Apaches do that. No, we put people there who can't even find the shoestring. Have a good night, Patches. I will be back. I will put you back there because I know you took us all the people of it and Nevis. You better than all of them. You have to this country. You better than all of them. Up to now, infrastructure ain't gone away from where you left it. Have a good night. I know you're good enough to do that. You get things done.
Have a good night, my brother. I am humbled by your commendation. I go straight back to the lines and say good night to this caller. You are live. Hello, caller. It's 3 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. Good night, Mr. Bibleman. Good night, sir.
Yes, it's the Bibleman. Good night, and how are you?
I am peaceful. What about yourself?
I am very peaceful.
Yeah, okay.
I consider I have something to say because, and I have the word of God to talk after.
But use your time wisely because we're running out of time.
But I was here a long time waiting patiently. Now here you are. Mr. Pattis.
So?
A lot of people don't believe that the word of God is real. And so, Mr. Pattis, everybody believes them and their own man. Now, I am going to give you Psalm 75.
Unto thee do we
Psalm 75 said,
unto thee do we give thanks?
promotion neither come from the east, nor the west. Promotion come from God.
Yes.
He put up,
sets up,
and he brings down.
Yes.
And so, when you put you up there, he put you up there to look after the poor people. And you believe you're your own man, so you do what you like. A lot of, I won't go around here. I am going to read the word what I'm supposed to read for you, Mr. Patty.
Quickly, my brother, quickly, please.
Here, Psalm 91. Listen here, Patty. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High
shall abide
on the shadow of thy mighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge,
my strength,
my God, in him
will I trust.
Will I trust? Surely he shall deliver me from the snares of the fowler.
Noisome fowler.
And from the noise of the pestilence.
Noisome pestilence.
He shall cover me with his feathers.
Yes.
Under his wing thou shalt. His truth shall be my shield and buckler.
Yes.
Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flieth by day, nor the pestilence that walk in darkness, nor the destruction that come at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, Mr. Patrick. 10,000 at thy right hand. It shall not neither come neither thee. Only, Mr. Patrick, only with my eyes thou shalt behold and see the reward of the wicked. Mr. Patrick,
thank you.
This is sound word.
Word of the Lord, yes.
Me no have to go around and bullshit this thing, Mr. Patrick.
Yes, my brother. Yes.
Here it is, verse 10. There shall no evil
Befall you.
all thee, neither any plague shall come neither thy dwelling. That is, when you do what is right in the sight of God,
yes,
and do what God said, there shall no evil all thee, neither any plague
come nigh.
Come neither thy dwelling. And the last one I am going to say, Psalm 41. I am not going to forget that. He that considereth
the poor.
Yes. When you consider the poor, God is going to deliver you. Do not oppress the poor people. Do not.
Okay.
I have a people like to oppress the poor people. But God, I'll tell you something, see?
Okay, my
I'm
brother.
going right now.
Yes, please.
Let me tell you something, see?
Quickly, my brother.
Because the writing is on the wall.
Yes.
The writing is on the wall. You can read in Daniel and it tell you. The writing is on the wall. Election is very near. And only one man. Now, who pick up and plant. Only one man God can put at the wheel. Say good night, Mr. Patrick.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Bibleman, for your little subnet you got away with tonight. But it's now 3 minutes past the 10 o'clock hour. I'll perhaps take 2 more calls if these callers can be guided by the rules of brevity. Can you, caller?
Yes, Patches.
So.
Good night, man.
Good night, sir.
It is unbelievable what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. Unbelievable. I'm encouraging the young people to get involved with the political affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis. Who you vote for in an election has consequences. And we are seeing it play out right now. What you eyes see, you got to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a breach of national security with a minister of government going out on a tender, heading out to a yacht, solo, with no security, no backup, nothing. The Billy Herbert disappearance is still a mystery. Patches, at the end of the day, man, whatever the outcome is, we all going to suffer. It doesn't matter which party you're on. You got to come up off of that party lines.
Okay.
And rally for the national issues. I just want to wish the people of St. Kitts and Nevis the best going forward. Jam down, big up yourself. I see you, I hear you, and I want to acknowledge you tonight. We will conversate at some point. My number is 862-218-6422. My number again, 862-218-6422. For you and anyone that want to conversate with me, they're more than welcome to call me on WhatsApp at least.
Okay.
And yes, Patches, man.
Thanks.
It's unbelievable what's happening in St. Kitts Nevis, man. To watch a minister of government did what he did, heading out to a yacht, is unbelievable. And like that other caller said, the Minister of National Affairs, National Security, the Prime Minister himself, I hope he's watching carefully.
Okay.
And to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, pay attention. When that election comes up, do the right thing. Thanks, Patches. Have a good night, man.
Have a good night. Thanks for your contribution. Let me perhaps take this and make this my final call for the night. Caller, you live.
Good evening, Kalikwan, and good evening, my husband. How are you this evening?
I am peaceful. God be saved the best.
And how
for
is your
last.
family? I know I'm late. I'm getting late.
Yes.
Mr. Liebert, I want to say something. Do you see something going on and happening in St. Kitts with this government?
Something.
Do you see anything happening? Do you see anything doing?
Yes, they're disappointing us every day.
Okay. Up to yesterday, Saturday, one of the party people saying one term for them. And there's a big labor woman, one term for them. Right now, all of them in Dubai. Cost of living getting higher and higher in this country, and they ain't studying nobody. But you want to come tell me, Dr. Joe ain't listen to the people and cry? He not listen to the people and cry? Well, woe be unto him whenever election come out. What the people are thinking? Go out by the police station and get them out. Because they're not doing nothing good, they're not bringing nothing good to the country. But miserableness, hardship of life, struggling with poor people. They have to come up, Mr. Lloyd.
Okay.
They have to. They cannot go back in there.
Okay.
I wish you all the best. You get home safe.
Thank you very much. And you take care.
Yes, have a wonderful evening.
You too, my dear. And you take care of yourself. That's where we're going to end it, my Straight Dog family. Because my time is done and I got to run. And as I said earlier, in relation to our thesis for tonight, governance and diplomacy by yacht, or governance by law. But Mark Brantley contends that Nevis has a right to develop. And he can just send his proposal to the Prime Minister and he gets him to sign.
When in St. Kitts, the whole of Crystal Harbour went. And I never see no placard and I never see no protest. Right? That is the concern that I have, that there's a level of hypocrisy, I'm going to call it what it is. And there's a feeling in some quarters, and I will say it because it is true, that Nevis must stay to the back of the bus. But not while Mark Brantley is the Premier of Nevis. Not while I'm here. Because I don't belong in the back of no bus, and nobody in Nevis belongs in the back of the bus. We're equal citizens in this country, imbued with equal rights, like every other citizen, and the island must have the right to develop.
And yes, we are equal citizens. And yes, Nevis has a right to develop, but not anyhow. Because this Destiny project, attached to it are some obligations. You told us that if Olivier Janssen does not deliver, he has to pay a penalty of some $75 million. You told us that the obligation of government is not to repeal.
If we were to repeal it 2 months after this agreement were passed into law and the zone came into effect, they may not have spent very much in terms of capex, right? Capital expenditure. They may not have spent very much in terms of anything else. And so we're really only talking about the cost of the land at that point. If, however, we repeal it, when, of course, you have a fully developed, then clearly you can see that the cost would be exponentially greater, because everybody has to understand what it is we're doing, what the implications may be going forward.
And the obligation is not to repeal. We understand that the numbers being touted in the billions. But we don't know the level of exposure, and we don't know who is the government being referred to. But we know it cannot be the NIA, as the Special Zone Authorization Act is a federal law, and only the federal parliament can repeal it. So Mark Brantley is exposing you and I to billions of dollars if that act in its current form is not amended. And we must stop Mark Brantley now. Let him go and invoke the 113 clause if he is so strong, mighty, and powerful. And I commend Nevisions and Kittians alike for their defiant stand for Nevis. And this is not a rejection of progress. It is a rejection of recklessness, my Street Dog family. We reject any development that places private authority above public law. And no matter what pastor comes and prays, my Street Dog family, we will stand up.
Pastor Eric Maynard speaking.
Oh, my friend, how are you doing? Thanks for calling in.
I'm doing fine.
Yes.
The Lord has laid it on my heart to say a prayer for you and the Prime Minister, even though I don't know him. This is a command given to us in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. And I'd like to read that. It says, I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and the giving of thanks be made for all men. And I like the part where it says intercession and the giving of thanks. For kings and for all those that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. Verse 3, for this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and to come to a knowledge of the truth. Before I say the prayer that I want to pray for you and the Prime Minister and all the other leaders of the Caribbean, because I realize, and we prayed for that in church, prayed for all the Caribbean leaders, and particularly you and the Prime Minister, because I see some trends in the Caribbean that are very troubling, where everybody seems to be an authority and they know exactly what the leaders are supposed to do. And I think that leaders are supposed to lead.
Yes, and they must lead well. And I prayed about this as well. I was instructed by the Lord to respond. Because when a pastor prays only for the Prime Minister and the Premier, while ignoring those in opposition, that cannot be biblical faithfulness. It is what I call selective piety. And piety is faith lived with integrity. And when it's selective or strategic, it is not piety anymore. It is a pastor playing for the gallery. And that perhaps is his right. And scripture, I will leave you with this, is unambiguous. And I refer just to Timothy 2, verses 1 and 2. 1 Timothy 2, just verses 1 and 2. From the New International Version, I urge then, it reads of all, that petitions, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority. Which tells me that Paul did not grant pastors permission to narrow all down to only the leaders they prefer, or only those currently in power. Not at all. It does not. Because my research informed me that Paul wrote these words under a regime hostile to Christians. His command was not about blessing incumbents, but about refusing to let the church become captive to power. So to pray only for two leaders, the Prime Minister and Premier, and not the opponents, is to confuse the kingdom of God with the kingdom of the world. We were warned that you cannot serve God and power. Read Matthew 6:24. And James warned strongly against favoritism in the assembly. Read James 2 verse 1. The prophets repeatedly rebuked the religious leaders who flattered kings while neglecting justice and truth. So any pastor who prays only upward to those who hold office, but not outward to those who challenge, to those who question, or those who oppose, has turned prayer into a political signal rather than an intercession. And that is not shepherding the whole flock. It is aligning the church with one side of Caesar's court. Because biblical prayer should never be partisan. Because God is not partisan. The church's call is to stand before God on behalf of all, including leaders with whom we agree and leaders with whom we don't agree or disagree. And leaders we hope will change. Anything less is not courage, it's convenience. Praying only for the Prime Minister and the Premier is tantamount to praying for the sitting government on Nevis and the sitting government on St. Kitts and Nevis. It's like taking a quiet slide into partisanship while praying for all sides, including the opposition, would have signaled trust in God over politics. The goal Paul gave us is bigger than politics. He said that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in godliness, in all godliness and holiness. So prayer, therefore, is not about wins or who wins. It's about conditions that allow peace, justice, and freedom to live faithfully. Consistent prayer for government and the opposition models impartiality, love of neighbor, trust in God's sovereignty. And therefore we say, no to governance and diplomacy by yacht, and yes to governance by law. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank you, my Straight Dog family, those who called, and those who sent the emails, and those who just listened, who viewed. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liebert, and God's spare, we will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. And I'll leave you with the quotation of tonight. Corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. It must be gotten rid of. Both the government and the people at large must come together to achieve this national objective, my Straight Dog family. And yes, we will stand up. We will be defiant. We will reject any development that places private authority over public law. And my Straight Dog family, we commend all who have detested, because under our existing laws, final approval must be given. And my Straight Dog family, until we connect on Thursday, remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you must achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. I'm a Straight Dog family. Keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.